Hello YouTube, I'm currently at 2300. I just won a bunch of really nice games that I want to share with you guys. I'm going to be going through each one step by step, and this is what the video is going to look like.
First, I'm going to be going over how I beat the meta E-Golem deck, which is a pretty hard matchup for Huggy Q. Next, I'll cover what I did to beat a Royal Giant deck, which can also be difficult. Then I'll show you how I beat what is probably the best deck, or at least one of the best decks in the game right now, Minor Poison with Evo Mortar. I'm then going to be sharing a replay beating Goblin Giant Sparky Nado, and finally I'm going to be sharing a game versus RG Giant Skeleton. Without further ado, let's jump right into it. So we start the game off with a Firecracker in the back, and he immediately arrows it. I have my Hog Riders, so I'm like, okay, let's go for a Hog Rider at the bridge, and he goes for a Night Witch, and he realizes he just arrows my Firecracker, and so I don't have it in cycle. So he just spams me with an Elixir Golem. So as of this point, I'm furiously trying to cycle back. We gotta defend this really well. I gotta cycle back to a Firecracker, which we do. Good Night lines everything up for my Firecracker. Low log, but the Night Witch is still alive. So I go for a Night Low, and a couple bats still stay alive, but we defended. All around, pretty good. We're equal on Elixir, but I have a Hog Rider in hand, so I might as well go for it. I cycle a Hog, we get 1 hit, we get 2 hits, very nice. And again, he supports his Night Witch, but this time I have my Evolution Firecracker, so I just try and make the Ice Spirit jump on both Skeleton King and the Night Witch. It does. He goes for his ability. I don't know if that was really a good ability or not. My Firecracker is just popping off, and we take almost no damage. We're basically equal on Elixir, but we have an Evo Firecracker on the field. It does just die, though, to the Cannoneer. But, you know, he uses his bats. And so at this point, we're in a really good spot. You know, we managed to defend his spam at the beginning, and he's just resetting with an Elixir Golem in the back. I decide to go for just a Hog into this, because realistically, he can't kill my Hog Rider very quickly, and I need that damage, so I'm going to defend either way. So here we go, we have another big push coming towards us. Low Tesla, Firecracker early, so that by the time he goes for his arrows, which he goes for now, I'm already only 1 card away from my Firecracker. So Evo Knight is doing amazingly. I go for a log onto the Elixir Blobs and Ice Spirit just to keep my Evo Knight healthy enough to tank for the bats. Again, we're looking good. I go for a Hog Rider now, and I go for a Firecracker at the bridge because I know that he has Skeletons and Evo Bats in hand, and I know that my next Firecracker is an Evolution, which you can't kill with arrows either way, so I can play it aggressively in that instance. Again, Night Tesla, I go for Evo Firecracker, and since he uses his ability, I have to pop an Earthquake. My Evo Cracker is just completely destroying that Night Witch. Night Witch almost gets a hit on my tower, but I get back Skeletons down in time. Hog Rider takes the tower, but we still have to defend one final push. Firecracker low again, he's going to arrows it, I know that, so you always want to go for your Firecrackers early in this matchup, and just make sure you can try and cycle back to another one. As I do here, like we're already back to another Firecracker, he's nowhere near his arrows. 6 seconds left, he doesn't have time. You know, a really nice game against what actually is a pretty difficult matchup. GG's. Now, moving on to Royal Giant, I'm just cycling cards in the back, cycle my Evolution Firecracker. He goes for an Electro Spirit, and at that point I'm already thinking this is Royal Giant, especially with Ghost and Barbell, but then he plays his Tesla. And I'm a little bit confused because Royal Giant never runs Tesla. So this was very strange. He runs Bomber, and I'm just playing a little bit cautious. I'm not really sure what he's running, or what his win condition is, so I'm playing it a little bit passively. Just defending and waiting, and just trying to see what he's going to do. His Tesla that stayed alive kills off my Knight, and we're both just waiting for our Elixir. He goes split Goblins in the back, and I have a feeling it's probably still RG. I go for my Firecracker at the bridge, and look at this. I get this insane Ice Spirit, and I didn't mean to hit the Ghost. I mean, I was trying to catch the Bar Barrel, but since I did, we now punish. We go for a Hog Rider in front of all this really nice E-Spirit, and to be fair to him, he defended really well. That was a really nice E-Spirit. But the thing is, we still have a really good cycle, and he had to overspend. I mean, he didn't expect my Firecracker to stay alive. And so, at this point, the reason here I didn't go for the King Tower activation on the Evo Bomber, because I know he doesn't have Tesla. I mean, now he's back, but I know he doesn't have Elixir. He can't deal with my Evo Knight. My Evo Knight bypasses. I go for a log, guess I didn't really need it. I thought he would let my Evo Knight lock onto the tower, then go for goblins, so that it would do more damage, but we punish him perfectly. I go for an Evo Cracker at the bridge. I protect my Evo Cracker with an Ice Spirit. Yep, nice. It kills off the E-Spirit and the Bar Barrel, and we still get another Firecracker hit on his tower. So this is perfect gameplay so far. Perfectly punished, perfectly defended. I wish every game was this clean. So again, we're up about 1400 damage. We go for a Knight in the back. Again, we want to get back to the Evolution Knight as quickly as possible. He goes for a Ghost in the back. He still hasn't played his Royal Giant, so I'm still not sure what he's running. I go for this High Tesla because I know he's going to go for a High Tesla himself. He's done it like twice already. And so I thought I'd just get it off the field. And so now I'm thinking maybe I can try and outcycle him. But because of his Evolution Bomber, there's no point going for a Hog Rider into it. I cycle back to another Tesla. Last second I place it down. We've defended well, but he's also gotten a lot of damage in return. So well played to him. His Evolution Bomber got a lot of damage. It's a tight game. Hog Rider again, just with this. I thought he would go for a low Tesla this time, so I went prediction EQ. Because I sniped his last one, you know, playing those mind games, I thought he would go for it low, but no, he plays it high again. And so my EQ doesn't hit anything, but it's fine. Cycle again the Firecracker. There's no really a good way of cycling it without it getting fireball damage, or him just being able to snipe it. Maybe I could have played it higher, but okay, we have an Evo Knight on the field, so I go for this Hog Rider, and this time I go for the High Earthquake, just trying to get my Hog to the tower, but you know, it's not enough. I get this amazing Evo Firecracker shot, and I defend, and this is really important. Here, I know my Firecracker's in the middle, so I decide to change up my Tesla placement. If I had played it in the middle like I normally would, I would have taken a lot of damage, because that Fireball would have killed my Tesla. So again, it's really important to space out your troops. I go in for another Hog Rider, and he plays his Tesla too late. My Hog manages to get through, and I get 2 amazing Hog hits. He doesn't have enough for RG, so I'm not really worried about defending all of this spam troop. It's basically all dead. Ghost is now dead. I go for a Tesla in the anti-fireball position. Firecracker on the side. I don't really care about Firecracker damage. I go for a Hog Rider because I thought if he fireballs, he might not have Elixir. Probably wasn't the best Hog Rider, to be honest, but it's okay. We're still controlling this game. Evo Knight up high, and I'm like, okay, he pre-placed a Tesla. I can just Earthquake that and then go for a Hog Rider. Why would you do that? I go for a Prediction Log because obviously he's going to go for Goblins. He has nothing else in cycle. He fireballs, E-Spirits, the 2 Goblins stay alive, so we don't get any Hog damage, but since he spent so much, he's already in EQ range, so I can just log, I can just go for a Hog Rider here, and it gets past his Tesla because the RG pushed it, but even if it didn't, it was already GG's. Now, in this next game, I'm playing against Minor Poison Mortar, which is probably one of the best decks in the game. Goes for a Minor. I've got a Firecracker on the field, so I support it with a Hog Rider. He manages to get his King Tower activated early on, which honestly kind of sucks. I'm just cycling some cards, and he goes for a Knight in front of his Bomber, so we need to go for a Knight to first hit the Bomber and then kill the Knight. Just so that we get rid of that DPS the Bomber does. And so far, I'm not that happy, because he already has King Tower, and I know that he's playing Minor Poison, and the later in the game this goes on, the more difficult it's going to be. So he goes for a little Prince in the back. I am just waiting for my Elixir, and just thinking, okay, how am I actually going to get damage here? First I need to cycle some Skeletons, and that was to catch the Minor. I then go for a High Tesla to snipe his little Prince. It deals with the little Prince and the Minor, and whilst doing that I go for a really aggressive Hog Rider. We get EQ damage, no Hog damage. It's going to be very difficult to get Hog damage in this matchup because he has King Tower and he has Cannoneer. Cannoneer is just generally very difficult to play against. I messed up my Ice Spirit here, kind of an L. I meant to play it a tile higher, but my finger slipped. So we're about even, but he has Cannoneer, so this is already not looking amazing. I go for a Knight in the back around the time he goes for a Minor, and I decide, okay, I can probably just get away with going for a Firecracker here. Let's just cycle it. It'll deal some damage outside of poison range. We don't want to be giving him poison value, and it'll also help me, as now I'm going to support it with a Hog Rider. I just let that Evo Bomber go, because what am I going to do against it? It's so broken. I get EQ damage. I go for a High Ice Spirit here to catch, and then I go for my Evo Knight to kill his little Prince. I go for Skeletons onto the Guardian, just so that it DPSs it down, and my Evo Knight has some HP, so he still has to respond to it. And whilst that's going on, I go for my Hog Rider. I throw in a Evo Firecracker and an Earthquake. I'm just hoping to get some sort of hog damage, and even though I don't in this push, what I've managed to do is outcycle him. So actually what I do is I just go for a Tesla, so that if he goes for a Miner, the Tesla will also deal with it. And I've outcycled him, so I go for a Hog Rider. I log because I thought he'd go for a Fire Spirit or something. He goes for his Knight, and then I go for a Firecracker at the bridge. Firecracker kills, he predicts it, and goes for a Fire Spirit. I try catching the Miner, but goes behind Firecracker, so well played to him. My Tesla that I played earlier is still DPSing this all down. I go for another Tesla up high. This will stop him going for Mortars at the bridge and just kind of block up the lane a little bit. I could have maybe played it a little bit lower so it hit, so that it would hit any miners he played in the front of the tower. And again, I have this nice push on the right, so I go in. I don't know why he played his miner in the front, so I just ignore it because my Tesla deals with it. And I'm like, okay, I just need to get damage. We get really nice EQ value on his Little Prince and his Mortar. And this is a really hard matchup, but so far, you know, we're actually in the lead, up 1,000. Again, Firecracker in the right lane, because I don't want to give him poison value. He just completely poisons nothing. I catch his miner on the left, which is huge. You know, mitigating miner chip damage in this matchup is what will win you the game. Like, if you can catch their miners, it is luck, but a lot of it is just pattern recognition. Like, a lot of the times people go for miners in obvious spots. We managed to get a hog hit, which is crazy. And he still has to respond to my Evo Knight on the left. I don't let his Knight on the right get damaged, because I don't want him to suddenly start going right lane. You don't want to go opposite lane against miner poison. You really can't afford to go same lane. I go for a Hog Rider since he just used his Mortar. And I'm just like trying to defend at the same time. We get a hog hit. I mean, it's basically impossible for him to stop me getting hog damage. He gets one mortar hit and one LP hit, but you know, at this point it's already game over. I just need to cycle back to my spells. I decide to, I Earthquake, I go for Firecracker. I'm just cycling at this point, and you know, that's the end of the game. My log takes it, GG's. This next game against Goblin Giant Sparky Nado was brutal. I mean, this isn't even really a good matchup, but this guy got completely destroyed. So I go for a Hog Rider to support my Firecracker, and we managed to get one hog hit. At this point, I'm still not really sure what he's running. I mean, it could be a few things, but I'm already suspecting it probably could be some sort of Goblin Giant deck. Just because of the bats and the knight, it's kind of a common combination. And then he cycles his minions in the back, and I'm thinking, okay, this could actually be Sparky. I mean, even though Sparky Nado is uncommon, you know, it is a deck and it's been around for a little while. So yeah, he drops a Sparky in the back, so I go for a Hog Rider opposite lane to pressure. He doesn't have his Tornado. If he had his Tornado, I would not have done this. But the bats are dead, you know, it forced out a bit of Elixir, and now we've just got to defend. So I start off with a Tesla, and I go for this gorgeous Ice Spirit. I mean, this is something I learned playing 2.6, but if you time it right, and a low Ice Spirit, you can make it jump on both the Goblin Giant and the Sparky. So I log trying to keep my Knight healthy, but he Nados it back, trying to get a shot on my tower. Almost works, but doesn't quite. And since he used his Nado, I'm like, okay, well, I might as well go for a Hog Rider here. I go for a Firecracker, try and hit the minions, punish him more, but well played to him, he went for a Knight. I still decide to, you know, support my Firecracker, because I want to keep it as healthy as possible. I even support it here with a Knight, just because I don't want him to have easy defense against it. He goes for a Mini P.E.K.K.A, which is actually quite nice. The Mini P.E.K.K.A is mostly dead, the log will just take care of it, and he doesn't have it in cycle, so if he goes Sparky, you know he's nowhere near his Mini P.E.K.K.A. He has to now cycle more cards. At this point, I was paying attention, and I knew that he had his Evo Bats in cycle, so I knew that making sure I cycle Firecrackers is going to be really important. First, I Earthquake, just because I was kind of like in a weird cycle, and I didn't want to make my Firecracker get too high up. I wanted his troops to come closer to the bridge, so I thought, let me just wait through, you know, use 3 Elixir. He Nados my Firecracker, which I knew he was going to do. I go for an Ice Spirit. This time, because there's an Evo Knight, it doesn't work. But I tank the first Evo Knight hit. I go for a log, and I get back to another Firecracker. See, if I didn't do that, I would be screwed, because, you know, he has Nado. I'm just like, at this point, I don't really care about his Evo Knight. I have another Tesla on the right side placement, and that fully counters. So I go in, support my Hog Rider, support my Knight with a Hog Rider, because I just want one hit. If I get one hit, we're already now in EQ cycle range. I go for a Firecracker at the bridge. He can't predict it with anything. If he predicts it with literally anything, it dies. And so at this point he's like, yeah, this is game. He gives up. I Earthquake. Evo Firecracker is crazy good in this matchup. And GG's. And finally, to conclude this video, I'm playing against RG Giant Skeleton, but some very weird baity Mother Witch version of the deck. There is a Goblin Barrel. Yeah, at this point I know it's bait. I knew that was in the top right corner, so I just go for a Firecracker so it kills all of the goblins. I go for this split push. He has to deal with both sides, and, well, you know, his Cannoneer deals with the left, which is so stupid, but yeah, I go for this Earthquake, and the reason being Earthquake Log finishes off a Mother Witch, but instead of a Log I was thinking maybe my Evo Firecracker can kind of DPS it down. I can just support it, and it does. We go for this Evo Firecracker, getting a bit close. I have to go for a high Ice Spirit. It doesn't jump, and at this point I was honestly praying that wasn't on my tower. I almost messed it up. But we haven't cycled a Tesla, so he just goes for an RG. Don't really know why. We go for Firecracker plus, yeah, our Tesla. Have to go for Skeletons to deny all damage, and, you know, I know what he's running at this point, but it's a bit weird. We do have a nice lead. I'll take the nice lead. It's a good start to the game, but it's very easy to get overrun. You know, he just arrows your Firecracker and then you're screwed. Against these matchups with arrows, you want to get to your Evo Firecracker and you have to play it on defense. You cannot use your Evo Firecracker on offense, because when it's on defense, they cannot go in. They cannot make a big push. He manages to outcycle my Log, which sucked. I think I may have accidentally cycled it, but, you know, it's okay. We managed to defend with an Evo Knight, and so I again support my Evo Cracker on the left. The Evo Cracker is hard to deal with, so when I go for it on the left, it gets hit on his tower, my Hog's doing damage, and that was perfect. I was keeping track of his cycle and his Elixir, and I knew he was going to go for Goblins, so I timed it perfectly. I delayed it, and then I played it at the right time. And I give my Evo Firecracker one more hit, and that left side tower is looking pretty bad. Really good timing for him on this RG. I probably should have gone for my Knight higher up, but, you know, we still managed to defend quite nicely. Just Log, Ice Spirit. With the Tesla, you know, it should be enough. Bruh. There's no way that got a hit, but I still don't understand. Evo RGs are stupid sometimes, but is what it is. He manages to block the bridge so that my Hog Rider, you know, is unaffected. I go for this Firecracker placement so that EQ will kill off the bomber. It also slows everything down so that, you know, Firecracker just tees off on all of his troops. It's a little bit close, but we still do have a lead. I go for an Ice Spirit first, Evo Knight, and then just a Tesla. And I go for a Hog just because, you know, I need to just have flawless defense and cycle it. That the Skeletons were to predict Evo Bomber, but he still gets a hit on my tower, which is just ridiculous. Evo Firecracker I have to play on defense because I can't afford to take that many Goblin stabs. And so at this point he knows, you know, it's game time. He has to just go in because a couple more Hog hits and I've already won this game. So thankfully he doesn't have Evo Bomber this time around, otherwise he would have just won the game there. I go for a Hog and I Log because I know he either has to go for Goblins or he has to go for a Hunter. Either way, my Hog should get damaged. So the Log will reset the Hunter. GG's. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.